Hey, thanks for stopping by. My name is David and welcome to Studio 6. Today, I want to have a conversation with my startup founders, entrepreneurs, small business owners about logos and file formats. These are some of the little tricky details that you're going to want to pay attention to and keep in your back pocket when you're buying a logo or if you're just managing the file formats of your branding and your logo that you've already had delivered. The four common file formats that we tend to interact with on a daily basis as entrepreneurs, business leaders, so on and so forth. JPEG, that's probably the most familiar, followed by PNG, followed by PDF, which is a document, but it could be an image. And then you also have something called vector. And those are the four that I want to focus on. And yes, vector is not a file format. Let's talk about that more later. All right, JPEG. One of the things that I want to share about JPEG is it's the easiest to consume, it's super flexible, and when it comes to images, look no further. A lot of government websites, I know for a fact, like trademarks, things of that nature, you're gonna have to upload a JPEG file a lot of the times. Usually this is something that you'll have, and it has its uses, but the problem with JPEG is that they're not very flexible. The next best thing would be a transparent PNG file. These files have the same flexibility in that you can open these files up on a smartphone or a computer and see them. You can, even with the JPEG, let's go ahead and look at it. You can have a presentation open. Now, if I was to go and take that JPEG file and drag it into this presentation, that's how it would show up. And while this works, this isn't ideal. What you would want in this scenario, as someone who only has access to PowerPoint or Keynote, what you would want is a PNG file. And you'll notice that this JPEG file, the font is in black. Well, I changed it to white just for this example, but look at what you can do with this transparent PNG file. Look at that. And another thing you want to do is you want to hold Shift, go to the bottom left or right corner, and then drag up. You don't want to break the orientation or what have you of the logo. But doesn't this look way more professional? This is what you want as a business leader. You want to make sure that your branding is consistent across all platforms, across all documents, and you want to make sure that you're not distorting it or warping it, and you want to make sure that you have a black version and a white version of your logo in PNG format. That's probably going to be the easiest file formats for you to use and to manage and to get you going when it comes to working on your Word documents, your PowerPoints, so on and so forth. The next one. So we covered JPEG versus PNG. JPEG and PNG work very similarly, but for your purposes in the digital space, you're going to also want that PNG. In addition to that, when you want to make t-shirts, merch, things of that nature, like PNGs can work, but what's better than a PNG? Vector. And I want to show you what vector is. Follow. Vector is a file format that most people can't open. You would have to have a program like Adobe Illustrator. I think Serif has a illustration application that you can just buy instead of having to subscribe, but more on that later. What does Vector do? Vector allows you to be able to change the size of a logo without losing any type of resolution. For an example, if I were to take this PNG or JPEG, but JPEGs are easier to distort, so we can go with this one. if we was to stretch this file out, this is probably going to be a terrible example, but if we were to stretch this out to the max and try to print it, actually you can see it here. You can see that it's starting to pixelate because we have stretched this thing way beyond the size that it was supposed to be. So if I do the same thing with this logo, you're gonna notice that nothing distorts. Look at that. Everything stays sharp. And the file is huge, as you can see. Another thing about these files is that, look at this. We can change the colors. Pretty easy. Tricks of the trade. This is what Vector allows you to do. Vector is like a work file. And then if you have Illustrator, like I could take this vector file, I can press Command C to copy it. And then when I go into Keynote, it copies the vector straight into the document. If you want to add different types of icons and clip art and things of that nature, Vector's a really great place to go. So when we say vector, it can get a little bit confusing because technically a PDF can be a vector file. A EPS could be a vector file. AI is the most popular AI file because that's pretty much Adobe Illustrator's native file format. So those are the things that you need to know, and here are the actions that you need to take. One, when you're dealing with a graphic designer and you're working on finalizing your logo and that graphic designer delivers your logo, make sure that you have probably two of them. You could ask for all three, but the two most important ones I would say, you're gonna want those PNG files. You're probably gonna want your logo in black. You're gonna want your logo in white or maybe dark and light depending on your branding and how that works, but you're gonna wanna have a logo that's functional on a white background and also functional on a black background. So you're gonna wanna have both of those in PNG format, transparent, so that you can do what you need to do in these presentations, so on and so forth. So you're gonna need those two. And then second, you're going to want an EPS file or an AI file. EPS, AI, those two files, and when I say AI, it's not artificial intelligence, we're talking Adobe Illustrator. Anyway, those two file formats are going to be your raw files. So if you were to take those two files and give it to another graphic designer or give it to a t-shirt printing manufacturer, or if you wanted to get your logo blown up on a jet because, I mean, your business is gonna boom and you're gonna need your own jet and you're gonna wanna put your logo on it, right? You're gonna wanna give them that AI or that EPS file. That's gonna be the ticket to getting all of that done. So, thanks for kicking it with me here at Studio 6. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.